point out, how could you not love the author of The Notebook? Like, come on! Come on! Like, how could you just not? And The Longest Ride? Hello! Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a book review on 3 Nicholas Sparks books I've read this year. So, Nicholas Sparks, I had a book of his probably since middle school, so around 7th, 8th grade. And I didn't read it until last year. Like, I don't even know why I had it so long. It was like gifted to me and I never picked it up. But boy, am I glad I picked it up. Because then I read another one. Then now I've read 3 more. So I've read about 5 of his books now. And who doesn't love like a good romance? And it's all that romance that's like fairy tale more than, I don't know how to explain it. But it's more of a fairy tale romance, and not all of them end in happy ever afters. Like, you know, there's always happy parts throughout it. But it's not always like, oh, they get married, they have children, they live a long, happy life. So that's what I do like, is that they're not all along the same lines. So we'll start with the one I just finished, my 11th book of the year so far. The Lucky One by Nicholas Sparks. I picked this one up for $1 at my local library. Amazing deal. But I would say this one wasn't as thrilling as the other ones. However, it was a wonderful story. It went between 3 characters. You got to see all their points of views. You had the ex-husband, the guy, and the girl. It was really well told, and it talks about soldiers in war and how they hold on to something special to them that got them through it. What got the main character through it was a photograph of the girl he's going to go find. So that's all I'm going to give you for that. It did start out a little weird, and I was like, if this is how the book's going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through it. But it gets way better as you go on, and I literally couldn't put it down. I read as much as I could over 2 days, but it was so good. Like, I definitely recommend it. It just is a lot slower than the other ones. So I do give it a 5 out of 5. It's a beautiful story. Typical romance, but it all began with a mission from the photograph, like I said. And I definitely recommend it. It's still a really beautiful story. And if you're just looking for an easy read, I would definitely recommend this one. Next, we have The Best of Me. Another dollar steal at my local library. This one was kind of weird because the main girl had my name. I was like, what am I doing? So I was basically reading a love story about myself, I guess. 5 out of 5, I do give this one. It was very much a will they, won't they. Like, you didn't know if they ended up together or if they didn't. But, you know, typically they always do. So when they were young, they fell in love and then were separated and then came back into each other's lives due to a death of a friend. But this death brought them close together and made them kind of fall in love again. Well, they did fall in love again. By page 300, I had figured out what happened, or at least kind of guessed, and I was worried to finish it, but I did, and I ended up crying because I was like, why did it have to end like that? Like, this is one of those that doesn't necessarily, like, there are happy parts, but doesn't end with a happy fairy tale, married, children, after all, like, love story like that. But it was so beautiful. It's always nice to see people reconnecting from their childhood loves, and that was the guy who died. That was his plan, was to reconnect them because he saw the start of their love and saw how they had to separate. And when he was arranging his like funeral and stuff plans, his afterlife plans, I don't even know how, like, the wording for that, but as he was planning that, he planned this whole thing to get them to just basically reconnect and rekindle. Beautiful. 5 out of 5, like I said. Then this one, The Wish. Got this one for my birthday and Christmas in December. Also, just to point out, how could you not love the author of The Notebook? Like, come on! Come on! Like, how could you just not? And The Longest Ride? Hello! Apparently, they're all just beautiful stories because for the notes I wrote, truly a beautiful story of heartbreak and love. Okay, so yeah, I give it a 5 out of 5. This one, however, truly made me be sobbing while reading. So anyways, things happen for a reason, and this was the second book to ever make me cry. And it's not easy for me to cry like that, especially over a book. But second book ever. This one, I really enjoyed this story. Really, really. When I started it, it was about a girl who has cancer, and then she's like just finishing out her last days. And I was sat there and I opened it and I said, am I really about to read a whole book about cancer? Only because it's one of the illnesses I like worry about. And I was like, am I going to put myself through this and think about it? But I'm glad I did, because it was thankfully not all about cancer. It was basically about this girl who got pregnant when she was younger and was sent to go live with her aunt in some small town that there was barely any children. But then she meets this guy, and he starts tutoring her to help her pass her classes for the year. And they fall in love, trying to get married, but they said, let's meet up here and then at a specific time. And then she has her baby early. They don't get to say bye to each other. They write every Christmas to each other. And then it's coming time to the point where they should meet, and the guy puts it off just for a little bit because he was in the military. He had to push back the time they could meet a little bit. That's all I'm going to say. Shit happens. And that's crazy. And this one I kind of realized what was going on too towards the end. Not about the heartbreak, but that the person she's telling this story to plays a bigger part in her life than she realizes, than we all realize, until the very end. And that's all I'm going to give you about that one without spoiling too much. I do recommend this one. I think this was probably my favorite one I've read by him. Or maybe like tied for first or the second. But this is definitely at the top of the ones I've read by Nicholas Sparks. So I do recommend it. Please go read it. Who's not going to, like, if you just want a good romance or good little story, go read it. Do yourself a favor. As always, if there are any other books you'd like me to read or review, please let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.